Alright YouTubes, so job we got in today, 2022 Audi A1, and it's in for the bonnet. Bit of a nasty dent on this corner of this bonnet. There's a little bit of a crease and some scratching on the corner of that wing there. Little dent there on the bonnet, and the back bumper. Reese, as usual, has already started it and stripped it, started repairing the bumpers because he's the man for bumpers. So usual bits of scratching and chips and scrapes on the back bumper, same on the front bumper where that impact on the wing is. It was scuffed it through there, and usual little chips and stuff like that on the front bumper. And we've got a dent to do on this wheel arch here on the dog leg. Dent here, a couple of creases, and blend into the rear door. So yeah, fair bit to do on this job. So footage wise, I'm probably going to film the repair on this dent, and yeah, some of the preparation. Obviously we can't record all of the repairs on every panel, but I'll probably do the panel work on this, repair on this bonnet, and some of the paint preparation, and obviously the spraying. Yeah, I'm not sure how to tackle this dent at the moment. What I'm probably going to do is I've got some suckers. So I'm going to try sucker on there first to see if any of that will pop first. If that's not really successful, then it's going to be grinding the paint off and get the puller on it. I'm probably going to weld the eyes along this feature line, see how well if it pops. There's a little bit of access in there. There's a couple of holes in there, so I might even be able to get some PDR bars in there maybe to pop some out, but it's quite strong here on this corner. Obviously having these feature lines make it a bit stronger as well. So yeah, I'm going to see if any of it will pop with a sucker, and then yeah, go from there. But yeah, I'll experiment, see how well it goes, and then yeah, once I get all the metal up to a decent standard, I'll start doing the filler work. So that being said, I'm going to start repairing this dent. Some of it's moved, yeah. I struggle with this feature line. Oh. Some of it went. Ripley.
Lucky really didn't go into this, isn't it?
But that's probably what's kept it, is that feature line. It's kept it right.
From,
yeah.
If all that was crushed in as well, that'd be right.
Oh, there's no need to glue it. Pin it now. Probably don't even need to.
Yeah.
Nah. Or like go on the eyes, the feature lines come up a bit now.
Yeah. PDR. Like a PDR would be able to get that.
A good PDR bloke would probably be able to do that, yeah. That matey on YouTube that I can't remember what it's now called. I think it's just called PDR something. fucking, you want to see some of the stuff he does.
Yeah.
Honestly, stuff I wouldn't even pin and clag. He gets out, like whole quarters just flattened.
Yeah.
With no paint damage, and gets them out.
That makes sense, yeah.
He's using like pulling towers and all sorts. Right then, YouTubes. Yeah, that dent come out quite successfully with the old sucker. So yeah, once I've got the bulk of it out with that, I yeah, gonna grind it off to use the puller on it. So yeah, I've sort of changed what I used. I use them green roll-up wheels. I use them to get in the depths of the dent. They're really expensive, honestly. They're just silly money. Boxes of 10 they come in. So I've got another grinder. That one there. That's like a 3M hand grinder. I bought it cheap off a friend, and I got a 3-inch DA backing pad for it that fitted on there. And then yeah, I've just been buying the little 3-inch DAs, 120 grit and 80 grit. Boxes of those, boxes of 50. They're pretty cheap, and they do a good job of stripping the paint off. You know, that little DA head on that little grinder does a good job, and it's a far lot cheaper than using those green roll-up wheels. I know that. So yeah, got all the paint off, and then yeah, just pulling out around it now. Yeah, it was a little bit awkward, that dent there. The most awkward bit of it was where that feature line comes down, where that was in. The feature line sort of just disappears at the end of the bonnet, and yeah, I had a bit of trouble sort of shaping that a little bit, and then it sort of stretched a little bit on me, so yeah, it's popping in and out. There's a lot going on in that little area on the bonnet. You've got sharp feature line at an angle, then you've got it curves inwards, and then it goes to like the flat of the skin, but even that part of the skin, it's got curvature to it. So yeah, yeah, I spent a bit of time you know, beating it about. Sometimes you can overbeat it a little bit. Yeah, if you may have heard me and Reece discussing after I popped it out, yeah, there's PDR guys out there would probably, with a bit of time, would have got that out. It's the feature line's the main bit. You know, feature lines are in a panel to give it stiffness and rigidity. So yeah, that's the hardest bit really, is around the feature lines. And yeah, you can see there where I'm pulling on the feature line. It's struggling to take to it well, and it ends up pulling off. So yeah, just trying to get it as, you know, as flat as possible. Any little lows, sort of pulling them out, and then dressing around it. Just, you know, you got to sort of do bits at a time really. But when you've got sort of multiple shallows and a few highs and stuff, you just sort of got to work your way around it really. Sort of, you know, don't try and tackle the whole lot at once, just work in areas, get a certain area to where you want it, and then move on. And then I sort of normally grind it off a little bit more, see some more lows, and, you know, and keep going like that till you get it to where you want it to be. But you always want it a little bit lower, obviously, because you're gonna struggle to fill it out with any highs. And again, you want to just keep your filler to a minimum if possible. So yeah, just keying up, feathering out all the grinder marks, and keying that up with 120 grit. Just, you know, get that edge feathered out, and get a bit of paint keyed round it. It's all bare metal. I didn't epoxy it or anything. I put filler straight on the bare metal. It's not a problem. It's clean, brand new metal. It's not being left to any elements moisture wise or anything like that. Filler's going straight on it. So yeah, it's not an issue. In an ideal world, I probably would like to put put some epoxy primer on there beforehand, but it's not necessary. No issues with it bonding as long as you've got that metal nice and clean, it's degreased and all that sort of stuff, and sort of get that filler on there, sort of wipe it in and wipe it off in a way, sort of prime it up with a filler, get the resin of the filler to stick to that metal first, and then start layering up your filler over the top of that. I find that gives it a bit better adhesion. You know, if you wet up the panel first with filler, put some in, spread it on there tight, take a bit of it off, you know, as you're spreading it on there tight, get a bit of a foundation on there of the filler, and then start building it up. Don't want to sort of try and bulk it too much. It gives you too much rubbing if you bulk it up too much. And yeah, like I say, a bit of an awkward shape off of that feature line. You've got a nice curve in there. So any little wobbles, you know, them types of feature lines, sharp edge with you know, with a nice curve in it. You get any little, even small little wobbles or discrepancies in the size of that curve width wise, it shows up. So they can be a bit tricky, them areas.
The one doesn't do alright?
Well, yeah, for now. It's about half full, I think.
There's no point ordering them to make it, is there?
Nah. So stick a bit of guide coat on there. The filler I'm using on this is Evercoat Rage Gold. I use all the Evercoat fillers, and it's a bit of a harder one to rub. I use the Rage Ultra as well. It's a bit finer. You know, you can rub that with a lesser grit, but quite often I'll just knock on the first skim. I'll just knock that top off with a bit of 80 grit on the DA. Just to get the rough off. The top surface can be a little bit gummy. The guide coat sort of helps with that. Putting a bit of guide coat on there helps with it, you know, being a bit gummy on the top. They are a bit like that. It's the resin in them, and yeah, it's a decent filler. It does shape really well. Can pinhole a little bit sometimes. So yeah, I'll just for a bit of speed. Keep that DA moving like a block, use it like a block, use it flat with no interface pad on there, and yeah, just get that top layer off, really, not looking to shape it in any way, really, just to you know, take off that top layer, really. So yeah, that's 80 grit on there on the DA, and then on with a block, and yeah, 80 grit again. Pretty much, you know, most of the repairs, you know, medium, large repairs with this Rage Gold, I always cut it with 80 grit first. You're better off with a coarser grit. A coarser grit's just going to cut through. It's going to be quick. You haven't got to worry about that being 80 grit initially, because if you're getting it in that skim, you're going to refine it. And yeah, always leave a little bit of meat on the bone. If you're 80 grit and you think you've got your shape nearly there, if you think, oh, the shape's nearly here now, once you get away with not doing another skim, then yeah, then you want to start working down your grades. You know, if you don't want to get your shape bang on in 80 grit, and then you've got to refine it, because you're going to lose your shape there. So at this point, it's not feeling too bad. So I've come in with that 3M block's got curved attachment, so sort of inverted curve and concave curve attachment that goes on the bottom of that block. So yeah, it needs a bit of a curve in there. It's hard to cut that in, you know, consistent right the way through there, that shape. And that's another block that's flat on the bottom, and it's got one curved side, and that's really handy for getting those curves in up to feature lines. So yeah, now I'm spending a bit of time trying to get that looking consistent, because it sort of gradually goes, you know, from the end of that repair, you know, up towards the back of the bonnet. It's thicker, and it sort of goes in smaller as it goes down the bonnet. And you can see I've got another curved block there, so I've got all the curved blocks in the world on this job at the moment. And yeah, just trying to find the right shape really, to fit in that recess. Tricky. It was a bit tricky, to be honest with you. Keep checking it with the other side, see how it transitions down. And yeah, it's about trying to copy that shape really. And yeah, I almost got it in that skim. Trouble is, you're trying to blend bits of filler in. You know, the feature line metal wise is decent on pretty much on the front of that bonnet. It wasn't damaged, and then obviously beyond the damage going towards the back, it's there. So you've got to try and transition your filler and your shape into, you know, into panel work either side of it, which it can be a bit tricky. It becomes a bit tedious. Sometimes you can have a big bit of filler in a panel, a big skim to rub down, but if it's just straight and flat with just one shape to it, you'll find that you can repair something bigger than what it would take on a smaller shape. So yeah, the wheel arch was pretty standard. Again, just knocking a bit of it off with 80 grit, and yeah, I finished my filler off between 180 and 240 or 220, to be honest, with 220, because I'm on the 3M Cubitron strips, and their grade is, well, I've had 240 and 220. I think 220 is like the American market. It's more 240 in this country. It's funny how, I don't know, so the grades sometimes vary in the countries. But the last box I got of I ordered 240 grit Cubitrons, and they come through as 220s. But I do like the 220s actually. A little bit of extra coarseness. I find a bit better for shaping, you know. And some fillers you can just straight off the bat with 220 grit, no problem. Leave it for primer in that. So yeah, on the last bit here now on that wheel arch, just tiny little bit of pulling that we done on there, nothing major. And then yeah, again, these Audis have really sharp lines, and then they have you know, they're quite prominent, the feature lines on these Audis. That they have had that style on their bodies for a while now, so they can be a little bit tricky to shape, to keep that sharpness in it, especially, you know, putting primer on. Put primer on, you're going to lose that sharpness, so they do take a bit of concentration to, you know, to get them lines looking right and consistent. Even on small repairs, that there's such a sharp line that it doesn't take much to rub that line out a bit too smooth, and it will show in the panel. You know, you've got a lovely sharp feature line in a wheel arch, and then it goes a bit fat and a bit soft. It makes a repair look bad to me. So now I'm at the point of refinishing the scratches in this wheel arch and getting that final shape into that wheel arch. So it's been rubbed down with 120 grit, and I'm just going to finish it off in 180 grit. So yeah, I want to get that line sharper now. So I'm using a little wheel arch like stencil tool, and I also use you know, like a compass. You can use a compass. They work just as well, really. Just get the ridge of it under the wheel arch, keep it nice and firm against the wheel arch, and just follow that wheel arch round. Just make sure you knock off any little old bits of clag like filler at the bottom of that arch, because obviously it's going to make your line wobbly, and then get some tape on it. Get some tape along that line that you've drawn out. Get that tape pulling tight and curved. I was struggling for a bit of like that, excuse my language. And then yeah, I normally go both sides of it, so get that tape on the top of the line first, make sure it follows it nice and evenly, put a little bit extra on there for a bit of protection. Then it's literally just a little bit cutting in now, so yeah, a little bit finer, 180 grit like I said. You know, the shape was almost there, just want to get that line nice and sharp, and just, you know, get that block going up to that line, up to that bit of tape, and then do the opposite. Stick a bit below it, get a bit below it again. Just you have to get it stuck down nice and hard, and then yeah, put it under tension, get a nice bend in it, pull it tight, get it to stick there, and then just bring that line in across the top. It's just a little bit of fettling. It's not you know, you want to be doing this bit right at the end really, once you've got your shape and your levels, just to get that in there. And then yeah, you know, putting a piece of tape over a feature line does wonders with getting it the right, you know, the right consistency, the right sharpness. And you know, if you've got straight feature lines, for getting stuff straight, putting a bit of tape over there, you know, does wonders. It really helps. And yeah, that's pretty much it on the repair side of it. Happy with the results. They came out okay. And so next stage would be getting some primer on it. So I've got it in the booth all masked up. We've already prepped the car, and yeah, Mipa 4+1, their high build mixing ratio, mixed up a darkish grey for this car, being black, and then yeah, 3.5 coats with my primer gun, which is a Satajet 100B RP with a 1.8 setup. Put a light one on for the first coat. Also, I've covered that filler with pore filler. Really aids with how your primer lays down, fills in all the little micro pinholes. It's really cold at the moment, so you do have a tendency to put a little bit extra hardener in the filler, which sometimes the extra hardener can cause some little micro pinholes. So it's really worth spending that little bit of extra time just getting a bit of pore filler in there beforehand and letting that dry. Just smear it all over your filler, and it really does make a difference with how your primer sits on there. You don't put as much on your primer does less work, and it also helps on the plastic, you know, smoothing out some of that furriness that you get off of bare plastic when you've done repairs on plastic. So yeah, it's good to put it over that as well. So that's a couple of coats of primer on there. I'll put a couple more on, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Look out for the next video of the painting stage of this vehicle, and yeah, thanks for your time, thanks for watching, really appreciate it, and we'll see you again in the next one. Look after yourselves. Sucker!
What you doing, sucker? Let me go somebody your side, sucker. About this, sucker. Hey, sucker, you gonna pay. I'm a damage that sucker with this.